The air in the courtroom hung heavy thick with unspoken dread as the words 20-year prison sentence echoed, chilling everyone to the bone. No one dared to speak. No one dared to move. Sarah Mills, a dedicated police officer, had been transformed from a hero into a convict. Her fate was sealed. Sarah Mills wasn't just any officer. She had dedicated her youth to the force, serving in some of the state's most perilous districts, confronting hardened criminals and navigating life-or-death situations. Always by her side was her indispensable partner, Rex, a German Shepherd. Rex wasn't merely a meticulously trained canine, he was a true member of her family. Their bond was stronger than any leash or command. She was accused of breaking into a house without a warrant, pursuing an unarmed suspect, and shooting him in cold blood. The defense attorney struggled valiantly. Crucial footage had mysteriously vanished. Body cam data was corrupted beyond retrieval. Key witnesses suddenly became elusive, as if they had simply dissolved into thin air. Adding to the despair, Sarah refused to blame anyone else. She steadfastly refused to drag others down into the mire just to save herself. Outside the courthouse, protests erupted fiercely. Half the town still believed in her innocence, chanting slogans and holding signs demanding justice. The other half, consumed by anger and a thirst for retribution, clamored for her punishment. Yet the jury, seemingly having made up their minds long ago, deliberated for mere moments. The verdict, guilty. The sentence, 20 years in prison. As those words resonated, a palpable chill seemed to spread throughout the room. Sarah barely blinked, her eyes remaining fixed and resolute. But in the back, unnoticed by most, sat Rex. His ears perked, his body stiffened abnormally. It was as if he understood what had just been said. He let out a low, mournful whine, a sound that echoed deeper than any courtroom silence ever could. That night, Sarah was taken away. No goodbyes, no explanations, just the cold steel of handcuffs and the harsh glare of prison corridors. Rex was pulled from her side, leashed, and taken to a canine facility. They expected the dog to gradually forget his partner. But what no one realized was that Rex had already begun planning something no one thought possible. At the K-9 facility, Rex was unlike any other dog. He refused to eat for days, causing concern among the handlers. He ignored their commands, even the simplest ones he had once obeyed, without hesitation. He wasn't just sad, he was grieving profoundly. Every time someone passed by his kennel, he stared with unblinking eyes as if waiting for someone who never appeared. Trainers tried everything to comfort him. Toys, delicious treats, even reintroducing him to other dogs he had once trained with. But Rex didn't budge. He sat quietly in the corner of his kennel, his head resting on the cold floor as if the world had fallen silent for him. One night, when a handler tried to move him to another section, Rex growled not out of aggression but defiance, as if to say, "I'm not leaving until she comes back." The staff finally gave up trying to retrain him. They marked him as emotionally unstable and labeled him unfit for duty. Plans were made to retire him early or rehome him. But that too proved difficult. Rex rejected every potential adopter. He either growled or completely ignored them. He didn't want a new home. He wanted his partner. One older handler, a man who had worked with K9S for decades, watched Rex with heavy eyes. "I've never seen loyalty like this," he murmured. "It's like he's waiting for something or someone." Earlier that week, one of the younger handlers had forgotten to latch his kennel properly. Rex hadn't moved then, but tonight he did. With surprising agility, he slipped through doors, leaving a jangling leash behind. By the time they noticed he was missing, Rex had already made it through the main gate. They searched for hours. Officers spread out across the perimeter meticulously, checking every nook and cranny, but there was no sign of the German Shepherd. What no one realized was that Rex wasn't lost. He was headed somewhere very specific, somewhere only he remembered. The courthouse, the last place he saw Sarah alive. But more than that, he remembered the route from the courthouse to the prison where she was being held. K9 training had etched every detail into his mind. Roots, buildings, guard habits. This wasn't a random escape. This was a rescue in the making. Inside the prison, Sarah sat alone in a dimly lit cell. Her trial was over. The sentence delivered, the appeal denied. She stared at the cold concrete floor, hollow-eyed, her spirit shattered. Then a bark. At first, she thought it was in her head, an hallucination brought on by exhaustion and despair. But the barking grew louder, more frantic, unmistakably real. "Rex," she whispered, rising from the metal cot. Suddenly, chaos erupted. The hurried thud of footsteps, shouts. Officers rushed toward the West Wing. Shouts echoed down the hallways. "There's a dog in the facility. How did it get in?" Before Sarah could comprehend what was happening, a furry blur skidded outside her cell door. It was Rex, his coat-soaked eyes locked on hers. He whimpered, pressing himself against the bars. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Rex, you came." Something inside her shifted. A spark returned. Hope. The guards reached them moments later. Weapons raised, but they paused. This wasn't just a dog. This was loyalty in its rawest form. And for the first time in days, someone questioned whether Sarah truly belonged behind those bars. The warden, a man hardened by years of rule and discipline, entered the hallway with 2 armed guards at his side. His eyes locked onto Sarah, then quickly darted to Rex. The dog's presence had disrupted the atmosphere like an electric charge in the air. "What is this?" the warden demanded, his voice firm but with a flicker of doubt. Sarah stood trembling but resolute as Rex positioned himself protectively in front of her, growling low in his throat. His stance spoke volumes. This wasn't just a dog. This was a companion, a symbol of loyalty that transcended the walls around them. The warden's eyes narrowed. "Are you telling me this dog came for you?" Sarah swallowed hard, then nodded slowly. "Yes, he did. He's never left me. Not once. He's my family." A long silence fell between them. The warden hesitated, his tough demeanor faltering in the face of Rex's unwavering devotion. Could this dog truly understand the situation? Could he sense Sarah's desperation? The air was thick with tension, but then Rex took a step forward, standing tall as though ready to challenge anyone who would dare take Sarah away. The guards hesitated. Something inside them stirred. The warden stood there eyeing Rex with a mix of disbelief and uncertainty. The room was thick with the weight of unspoken questions. Was the dog truly a threat? Or was it something else, something far more profound than anyone could comprehend? The guards flinched, unsure of what the dog might do next. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. But what happened next shocked everyone. Weeks later, something unimaginable happened. After new evidence surfaced, thanks in part to Rex's dramatic actions and a viral security recording, the case was reopened. An anonymous whistleblower had come forward revealing tampered evidence in Forge's reports. Sarah had been framed, and Rex had sensed the truth all along. The courtroom buzzed with renewed tension as the judge delivered the verdict. "All charges dropped. Sarah Lane, you are free." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she looked at Rex, who sat quietly by her side in the courtroom, wearing his old K9 badge around his neck. The entire room stood in silent awe. The same dog that had once been seen as a threat had become a symbol of justice, loyalty, and hope. As Sarah walked out of the courthouse, a Free Woman reporters swarmed around her, but she didn't say much, just knelt down beside Rex and whispered, "You saved me. I'll never forget that." In the days that followed, Sarah and Rex started over in a quiet town. She opened a small dog training center to help troubled dogs, especially former K9S like Rex. And as for Rex, he never left her side again.